Welcome to r/Topposts, where a lady tries to steal a baby. Our next Reddit post is from Sid. My mother-in-law has a plan to take my unborn child. I'm due with my first baby in about 2 months, and I'm feeling extremely uneasy about my mother-in-law being around us once she's born. I hope y'all are ready for this. When we first told her I was pregnant, she was overjoyed, crying tears of happiness. Not long after, we moved into a new place and she came to help. She asked to stay for a night or two and ended up staying 2 months straight without ever asking. She basically lived on our couch. As many of you know, those first few weeks of pregnancy are tough. Mood swings, exhaustion, hormones. I'll admit my patience was thin, but she pushed every button. 2 days before my birthday, she completely lost it on me, calling me names, accusing me of trapping her son, telling me to go F myself. We kicked her out, only for her to show up again uninvited on my birthday, refusing to apologize. Instead, she told me she doesn't apologize to grunts and only makes improvements through actions. Against my better judgment, I gave her another chance because the idea of her being cut off from my baby caused a lot of tension with my husband. Since then, she's constantly referred to my unborn child as my baby, which has always made me uncomfortable. Recently, my brother-in-law's girlfriend told me just how far things have gone. My mother-in-law has been talking badly about me for months, even secretly filming me in my own home and twisting it to make me look bad. She called me a thief for moving cash from our desk so I could deposit it into our shared account. Worse, she's telling people that my child is hers. The most disturbing part? My brother-in-law's girlfriend told me that my mother-in-law has an actual plan to try to take custody of my baby. According to her, my mother-in-law intends to create situations that would drive me away from my husband, leaving the baby behind. She would then try to make my husband look unfit to parent as well, giving her a path to go to court for custody. I can't describe how terrifying this feels as a first-time mom. I don't want her anywhere near my baby. I don't even trust her to hold her, because in the back of my mind, I fear she might harm her. The problem is, my husband and his brother are used to her behavior. She's acted like this their whole lives, and they tend to soften and forgive, which lets her keep doing these things without consequence. That makes it hard for me to draw a firm line, especially since it's his mother. I don't know what the next right step is, but what I do know is my priority is protecting my baby. And right now, I don't feel safe with her anywhere near us. Then a couple of weeks later, OP posted an update. I contacted Child Protective Services and made a report detailing her plan to frame me as an unfit mother in an attempt to gain custody. My husband and I also called her to confront her about what we knew. She immediately went into denial, screaming, crying, and insisting she would never do something like that, while heavily guilt-tripping my husband. By the end of her tantrum, she had managed to tug at his emotions, but I stayed firm. Afterward, she blocked me on social media, and I blocked her as well. I don't want her having any access to me or my baby, even through photos or posts. So far, my husband agreed to honor my boundaries and keep her completely away from our child. However, today, something happened that really shook my confidence in that promise. He came home about an hour late from work with a gift bag, a smile, and handed me $100 in cash. Turns out, he met up with his mother on the way home. She gave him a baby shower gift, since I will not allow her to our baby shower, a card addressed, "To my baby, too." That specific phrase was something I'd already told him makes me extremely uncomfortable, as she's repeatedly referred to my daughter as her baby. He brushed it off, saying that I was overreacting and that it was a nice gesture. Mind you, I've been asking him for the last couple of weeks if he's heard from his mother, to which his answer was always no. It got worse. Inside the card was $200. He told me that he had an extra $100 in his wallet. I asked to see it, and he refused. Turns out, she gave him $1,000 in cash and told him not to tell me how much it was, and if he had to make it seem like a much smaller amount. When I asked to see the money, he refused at first, and only admitted the truth after I kept pressing. So now, after everything we agreed on, it feels like she's buying her way back into his good graces, and he's letting her. I told him that she's manipulating him to allow herself back into our lives. His response was, "That's not a very nice thing to say." I'm heartbroken and frustrated. I hate it that it feels like it's them versus me right now, especially at such a vulnerable time in my pregnancy. But I want to be clear, my stance has not changed. My mother-in-law will not be allowed around my baby, period. Then, a month later, OP posted another update. I wanted to let you all know that me and my now born child have left. I appreciate you all for your advice. I'm currently 3 weeks postpartum, and the baby and I are on our way to peace of mind. Just like most of you said, he did try to have his mother meet my baby, to which I wasn't okay with, and ultimately I made the choice to leave. Thank you all for your advice. I think it's honestly really pathetic when a guy chooses his mommy dearest over his own wife and child. Dude, come on, cut the umbilical, grow up. Our next Reddit post is from OK Medusa. I have a let's not meet story that happened last September that ended in the cops telling me that I'm a very lucky woman. I was swiping on Tinder and I saw someone I recognized from the adult industry, and we matched right away. His profile said that he was visiting for the week and looking for a tour guide. I live in a very touristy area. Normally, I stick to public meetups, but I have friends who have actually worked with him, and everyone says he's respectful and kind. And let's be real, I was very attracted to this man and fully prepared for my one-night stand. His Tinder was verified. He offered to video chat before I came over, but I was in the middle of work. His verified Instagram showed him on his motorcycle somewhere that looked like my state. I even mentioned a mutual friend he'd worked with, and I called her by her real name, which isn't on her verified social medias. He knew exactly who I was talking about, so I felt confident it was actually him. I told a few friends about my plans, got ready, and I saw I had a few missed calls from my friend. It was a 30-minute drive, so I grabbed my keys and was going to call my friend when I got on the highway. Then I got a message from her. My friend had messaged the real guy on Instagram, and he said that it wasn't him and that he's not on vacation or on any apps. I messaged the guy on Tinder that I didn't feel well and I was turning around. 20 minutes later, he either deleted his profile or blocked me. I told a cop friend about what happened, and he said he was going to talk to someone at the police department. The next day, they asked me to come to the police station to make a report, and I did. Turns out, there was no Airbnb lake house. It was an old, vacant cabin with the owner living out of state. The place was trashed. There were multiple tire tracks in the yard, and the cops believed that more than one person was waiting for whoever to show up. The cops didn't have enough to investigate further since technically no crime had occurred besides the break-in. But yeah, absolutely terrifying in hindsight. Am I the butthole for making my son cry? I'm a 47-year-old guy, and I have a 14-year-old son from a previous marriage to my late wife. She passed 2 years ago, and for my son, the wound is still very fresh. My son and her were very close, as they look exactly alike and had a lot of the same interest in reading, history, and art. Their favorite place in the world is the British Museum in London. Their passion project has been redrawing pieces from the museum for the last 2 years before she passed. For the last 4 years, for my wife's birthday in June and my son's birthday in December, we go to England for a week so they can spend time in the museum. However, since she died, my son and I have continued going for his birthday. The problem is with my new wife, who's 39. She's only been with us on this annual trip once last year, and she complained the whole time. Now, however, we recently found out that we're expecting a child together in May. My wife brought it to my attention that the money I use for the trip could be better used for the baby, and we could instead do something else for my son's birthday. I thought about it and agreed. I was worried how he'd take it, as this was the only thing he wants for his birthday. He doesn't ask for gifts or cake or a party. All he cares about is that goddamn museum. We broke the news to my son yesterday, and he flipped out. He was so upset, and when my wife tried to tell him why we were saving the money and where the money was going, he said he didn't give a damn, and we got into an argument about it. He said he was upset because if he didn't go this year, he'd miss the new exhibit he'd been wanting to see. And he accused my wife of doing this on purpose because she already doesn't like me, he said. I admit that I yelled at him, and he started crying, and for the last 24 hours, he hasn't spoken to me. Am I the butthole? Then, a year later, OP posted an update. So, a year ago, I made a post online about the issue I was having with my son and my new wife. I've gotten many messages and comments asking what happened, so I decided to make an update. So, the big thing first. Did I take my son on his birthday trip? No, but let me explain. So after my son and I got into a fight, he went and complained to his uncle, my late wife's older brother, and his husband. I'll go ahead and say that since my late wife got sick, and even after she died, her brother and I never got along. He, his husband, and most of her family like to judge me for how quickly I remarried. However, my son has kept a good relationship with them, and once he told them about what happened, they called and offered to take him themselves. I was all for it, but my wife was not. She thought that if we let my son go with them, they'd fill his head with lies about her and only deepen the rift between us. Since this situation was causing her so much stress and she was pregnant at the time, I decided to decline their offer, which only made things worse. Eventually, after about 3 days, we finally sat down and talked. He said that he was unhappy with the way she was treating him and often felt like she was trying to erase his mom's touch from the house. He felt like she was constantly criticizing him and didn't want him around. When I confronted my wife about this, she was offended. She said she wasn't trying to erase his mother, but simply add her own touch to the space. She wasn't criticizing him, simply parenting. Eventually, my son accepted that he wouldn't be able to go on his trip and was noticeably bummed out about it. So his boyfriend and his friends spent his birthday at our house, trying to cheer him up. A sweet gesture, but I don't think it worked. Over the last year, my wife had our baby, and now that my son's birthday is approaching, he's become more bitter and more resentful over what happened last year. He spends more time away from home, he's been rude and disrespectful to his stepmother, and he's been seeing a therapist more frequently. Now that we've all adjusted to having a new baby and my son's birthday is approaching again, I'm thinking if I should resume the tradition of taking my son back to the museum. I think it'd be a good idea to hopefully do some family bonding. And honestly, I'm feeling really guilty about what happened last year. My wife has her reservations for saying it would only reward his bad behavior. I guess I'm making this update to not only inform the people of Reddit, but also ask for a little advice if it's allowed. What should I do? I only want to be a better dad. Yo, this is actually crazy. The kid's uncle offered a perfect solution. Makes pretty much everyone happy except for the stepmother because she's a word that starts with the letter B that I can't say on YouTube. And the dad declined it because he's like, nah, no thanks. I'd rather be a terrible dad. And the stepmom is so concerned about rewarding bad behavior. How come her bad behavior is constantly being rewarded? OP is just straight up a terrible dad. And on top of that, just really dumb, like objectively stupid. Am I the butthole for refusing to stay up at night because I drive for a living? I'm a 34-year-old guy, and I drive for a living. I work a normal 40 hours a week with occasional overtime. My 30-year-old wife and I have a 3-month-old. My wife recently has started going back to work after maternity leave. She works in an office and just sits all day. She asked me if I could start helping during the night with the baby. That way, she isn't the only one not getting sleep. That is very unfair. I drive all day. I can't be expected to stay up at night, then drive exhausted all day. She thinks I'm being a butthole and inconsiderate, and has pretty much quit showing me any affection and only talks to me when she asks to shower or if I can watch the baby while she makes dinner. Am I being unreasonable by refusing to help? I do so much during the day for the baby. I think it's fair I don't help at night. In the comments, OP tries to defend himself and says, I'm exhausted from working all day, so I'll watch baby while she makes dinner, then I go to bed. I do my fair share around the house to help out, and his comment has 1,000 downvotes. And when people are telling OP that his wife is going to leave him, he says, I'm not worried about her leaving me. She's stuck with me. We have a house together. All of our bills come out of the same account. What's she going to do? She can't afford to live and raise a baby by herself. And then 10 months later, OP posted, well, it's not an update, it's just a new unrelated thread. r/relationship advice. My wife wants to divorce me. What can I do? My wife and I have been married for about 5 years. She wants to get a divorce, even though I've tried to do everything for her. I quit smoking, I do all the yard work, I clean, but nothing seems to be enough. She said she just can't let go of all the things in the past. For example, she found some random nudes on my phone that I forgot about from before her. She doesn't get along with my mother. She says I don't listen when she talks. But I do. I just learned what her favorite candy is, and I've surprised her with it multiple times now. She said there were things from before we were even married that she's holding a grudge about and can't let go. I told her she needs to go to therapy, something that she's thrown at me before and then gets upset when I say it back. I just don't know what I can do to get her to stay with me. Any advice? People are calling out OP in the comments, and OP says, "Okay, I didn't realize you can see past posts. Just so you all know, I knew what her favorite candy was. I changed details so it wasn't so obvious. I didn't know what her favorite effing flower was. Big deal. She always said she prefers dead ones because why cut beautiful flowers when you can just have the whole plant? So I didn't know she specifically had a favorite when she said she didn't want flowers." To be honest, I'm impressed this guy managed to last a full 5 years. Between not being a dad and not really being a husband, and think the entire world revolves around 40 hours of driving. That was r/top posts from Reddit, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.